Weak wind, yet supported and focused with the back of the tongue, increasing the airspeed to see when and how the note starts. This tells me about response, tells me about resistance, or when the tone becomes clearer, which is a measure of resistance to me, and it tells about pitch. I want to see peep for my, or see aspirated for my oboe, so that I can float in pianissimo in tune. The second test is the peep in playing position, and it's probably my favorite, and it tells me three important things: resistance factor, tone, and pitch. So how I do the test is with a tongue-stopped articulation, so I can't manipulate the tone and the pitch. I play at the bottom of the tone, as in I can't get any lower, and start with the soft dynamic to full and back. This is to see how the reed functions in different dynamics. The three important things I'm evaluating. Again, I said I evaluate resistance factor because that's a measure of cushion to me. Second of all, tone, when not manipulated, because this will be the tone on the left-hand notes and on C's and G's. So this is important to me to be comfortable in all dynamics with these notes especially. My ideal is clear, round, and ringing when articulated in crescendo to diminuendo to test all dynamics. It also tells me about pitch in my evaluation, but specifically pitch of the high notes, or the relationship of the left hand and right hand notes. If the peep is lower than a half step from the string crow, the left hand notes will be lower than the right hand notes. Or, in other words, my high notes will be flat. And it's easy to hoist everything up if I'm playing to the high notes, therefore, which is what I do not want to do. The third test is the gliss. And this is really done at the end of the peep test, so I'll do both tests together. It's a second part of the test. That is so it is supported. I start this in playing position, and after articulating, I go to the end of the tip with my lips, to the very end. This gives valuable information about stability and flexibility. More than a minor third to me usually means less stable, and likely the sides may not be holding themselves to the top of the reed. Less than a minor third will feel inflexible to me. This test also gives valuable information to me about the transition scraping and what might be needed with that in how it glisses. I want a smooth gliss. The crow doesn't give me quite the same information. The last test is a string or thread crow. I look for the double octave, and I want the lower octave to merge after the upper octave, and how soon is important to me, since this shows the balance of response versus resistance, or how much air is needed for the tone to have full color. I prefer not to have rattle in my crow because that, to me, will feel scattered, but yet I want a sense of resilience. That is a good thing to me. The string crow also shows depth and pitch, and I need a C sharp for my royale. The book identifies a little bit more how to do the test, since this sometimes can be confusing. So, these are the objective reed tests. Once I have the clues where to scrape, together with the looks, I scrape and keep alternating the tests followed by scraping till I need more clues for the objective oboe tests. For the oboe tests, they are detailed in the book, as I mentioned, and they correlate to the reed tests, and there are about 5 of them. I can also do these in about 10 seconds, so therefore I've analyzed the reed thoroughly in that amount of time. For the final big test, that's the playing scraping test. I find if I use the other objective tests, I have less to do with playing and scraping needs, though I do use this test with repertoire and specific needs for situation to finish the reed as the final element of finishing. I hope some others find these as valuable as I do.
Well, we have one final question for you today. When you were that 6th grader starting out making reeds, is there any advice that you wish you had had that you didn't?
I probably would think in terms of the advice I would share with my students or what I've learned over the years. And some things I actually feel that when I was young, I did, that did help. So advice would be first to start reed making at an early stage. I'm grateful for my teachers starting me early. And if anyone's serious about music, just the sheer time with reeds will help you to grow in the craft. I also, at that age, viewed it like it was my favorite craft. I looked forward to my Saturdays, and it was Saturday of solitude and inspiration to me. And somehow I understood if I got really good at this, I could have the kind of tone I wanted and feel like I would have the voice on the oboe that I wanted. I'm not sure how I knew that, but somehow that was instilled within me. And I still feel that way when I'm making reeds, just to be able to be with my craft as a creative process and the feeling that I have control over what's my destiny with my tone and all that I do with music. The second thing would be to encourage them to be patient with the process. It is a process. And I already mentioned this, but never work more than 2 to 3 hours in a sitting, or rarely work more than 2 to 3 hours in a sitting. And then make enough reeds to have enough. I go into what I call reed factory mode. I like to be able to, if I'm having a recital, to have 2 to 3 reeds per piece that I could play in a recital, and that means making enough reeds to have enough. I would also help them to understand there are 6 or 7 needs to become a great reed maker. And if they can focus on 1 or 2 of these at any given time, it'll help them be systematic in their growth. So the first is knowledge. There's plenty of knowledge out there. Having a vision. What do they want in a reed? Having an end result rather than just scraping. The third need would be to develop a good sense of skill with the eye, the knife, and the hand. And that takes time. Just sheer number of reeds helps one develop skill. Then to be able to develop the skill of analysis, to know whether your reed is actually reaching your vision, to be able to analyze it in a thorough way, to see what it is doing or not doing. And then the need for good equipment, a sharp knife, a good gouge, cane. Then last 3 things, patience, quality time, because reed making does take time, and then concentration. To me, maybe the most important thing is to let music be the motivation for developing the craft and the motivation for the end result they want. We have the ability to change hearts of listeners, and reeds happen to be a vehicle for this.
Linda Strommen, thank you so much for being here with us today and sharing your dedication and your heart and your expertise for this craft.
I just want to thank you for inviting me. It's been a wonderful time, and I'm really grateful for this series. So thank you.
Thanks to all of you for listening. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram, and subscribe to our podcast so you never miss an episode.
We'd love to hear from you. Send your reed-making questions for our guests to reedtalkpodcast@gmail.com. Sending good vibes from our reed desk to yours. I'm Courtney Miller.
And I'm Margaret Marco.